ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to another QIPCO British Champions Series preview and a special QIPCO British Champions Series preview for you because it is the culmination of what I hope you agree has been just the most fantastic season. So many highlights throughout, but we are going to turn our attentions to what is going to be a brilliant weekend. So settle in, buckle up, and enjoy the ride with us as we look ahead to QIPCO British Champions Day from Ascot. Here's what's coming up in the programme. Can Found go one better in the QIPCO Champions Stakes this year? Could Ribchester give Richard Fahey his first ChampionsDay success? Quiet Reflection has had a stellar year, and we hear from her trainer.
To get hold of one that, fingers crossed, is going to be crowned champion of a great category at the end of the season, then that's a fantastic achievement, I think.
Now, as ever, for our QIPCO British Champions Series preview, I am delighted to say that joining me here in the studio, it is a very warm welcome to my good friend, Chris Dixon. Chris, great to see you. What a weekend we can look forward to.
Brilliant weekend ahead, culmination of the Champions Series, of course, and we've had some fantastic races during the course of the season, but more to come this weekend with some of the stars of the show coming together and taking each other on.
Now, throughout the course of the season, we've seen so many highlights, but we'll get to the sort of equine highlights in a few moments' time. I want to talk, firstly, if I can, about the highlights in the weighing room, I guess, which is a first Jockeys Championship for Jim Crowley. What a season it's been for him, and what a battle between himself and Sylvester de Sousa, obviously the reigning champion, that's really captured our imaginations in the latter part of the season.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's been a good race for the Jockeys title. Sylvester de Sousa definitely wanting to return his crown. He wasn't quite able to, principally because Jim Crowley, in the final month of the season, during the month of September, was just on fire. I think he rode more winners than anyone in Britain and Ireland has ridden in a calendar month in the past, and it was a phenomenal strike rate that he was hitting. He was teaming up on horses that you wouldn't normally be expecting to win and getting them to get their heads in front. He was riding with massive confidence. Just the other day at Goodwood, he rode a winner that he made a fantastic move at the start of the race. It looked like he might just get trapped. He pulled the horse out and got it into the perfect spot, and it was the kind of ride that I thought 12 months ago he'd have got beaten on that, but this time around he did everything right and got the horse home in front. De Sousa has given it his best, not quite enough ammunition, I don't think, in the end for him, but Crowley a deserving champion jockey. And
he will be crowned champion jockey at Ascot on British Champions Day, where we will see some of the equine stars, and since we were last on, we've seen some speedsters and stayers light up the race courses in recent months. I guess I want to start, if I can, with Harbour Law, who won the fifth and final classic of the season, a first female trainer, Laura Mongan, to win that classic, and a first classic for jockey George Baker. A tremendous season for them.
Yeah, brilliant story. As you say, Harbour Law winning the St Leger. It was a dramatic race, lots happened, but Harbour Law, who started out the season in handicaps, has really progressed, and a credit to his connections with the way that they've campaigned him, the improvement that they've gradually drawn out from as his stamina has really been utilised, and fantastic for his connections and indeed the horse to win the St Leger. In terms of at the other end of the spectrum and the speedsters, well, it's been fillies that have dominated the sprint division, with Mecca's Angel taking the Thought from Lamato in really blistering fashion, proving herself on a quickish surface. She's been beaten since in France, but she was brilliant at York for the second year in her own. Quiet Reflection under very different conditions, ploughing her way through the mud, but she has been outstanding this season for Carl Burke and onto a winner racing, and you've got to have been impressed by how she's gone about it, and she was very impressive at Haydock.
And just touching on it there, the fillies, the mares, the women, Laura Mongan, have dominated, and that's the same in the champion apprentice battle, because Josephine Gordon, who has just been, I personally think, brilliant from start to finish in 2016, she's going to be crowned champion apprentice. What a tremendous achievement for her.
Yeah, she's just managed to edge out Tom Marquand, who was going for back-to-back apprentice titles, but Josephine Gordon, who really cut her teeth during the course of the winter, doing the hard yards, building up the connections during the winter months on the all-weather, and really getting a name for herself, but she carried that on into the turf season with some fantastic results. She has proved very, very strong in the saddle, very good value for a claim. I'm sure that once she's without the claim, she can make an impact in the jockeys' ranks. She's tactically astute, she's strong, as I say, and she's had a fantastic season.
It really has been an incredible season for Josephine Gordon and for those horses and trainers, etc., that we've just mentioned there. That's the housekeeping done. Hopefully that's brought you up to speed with what's happened in Britain over the past few months on the racecourses up and down the land. But let's get straight into the action now as we look ahead to the QIPCO British ChampionsDay, which is coming up at Ascot. We are going to first take you round the course with arguably one of the best jockeys anywhere in the world. That man is Ryan Moore.
Today we're here at Ascot, the mile and a quarter start on the new course, and we're going to have a look and see if we can work out how best to ride it. All right, away we go. We're slightly downhill, the first sort of furlong really, and then we start taking a gradual right-hand turn into Swinley Bottom. This is what's usually the jump course, where they'd usually have the hurdles, so it's had no use all through the summer. The ground's a little bit quick today. There's a beautiful cover of grass. We just start a little bit higher up the track and a bit of a further run to the bend. As we head in Swinley Bottom, this bend now rides a little bit shorter. It's a bit tighter, but it rides very well. You never want to be giving away ground on any bend. We have about 7 furlongs to run from here. Steady climb all the way to the 3. It's quite a stiff climb up the hill, and it's important to be at this point to be looking what sort of route you want to be taking, but you don't want to be using too much fuel early. It's a short straight Ascot, but you're always climbing. It's very important to have your horse settled in a good rhythm. We're just approaching the bend now, just inside the half mile now. It's slightly shorter bend than usual, a bit tighter, but it rides very well. As we turn into the straight, just have about 2.5 furlongs from this point. I'm going to go for a run up Pat's inside here. He wouldn't usually let me in here. It's a very rare treat for Pat to let me up his inside. We're picking up well the last furlong, meeting the ground. And away they go.
Fascinating stuff there from Ryan Moore. Good luck to him. He will have a busy afternoon at Ascot this Saturday. And let's get straight into the preview of what is just an excellent card from Ascot. And one of the horses that Ryan will be hoping is victorious, because he is likely to ride him, is Order of St George, who is expected, Chris, I guess, to go for a relatively short price favourite at the top of the market in that race.
Yeah, he's been the star performer in the staying ranks this year, but he's proved his quality over shorter distances as well. Let's take a look at him with some course form during the Royal meeting at Royal Ascot, and this is the race that shows he's got the stamina and the class at the highest level. But even more evidence of his class came in France on a recent run in Paris in the Arc when he hit the frame. But this is him at the Royal meeting. Travelled really well through the race, too strong to the line as well, just too classy for the staying field.
The horse in red, just behind Order of St George at this stage, red cap, that's Sheikh Zayed Road, who's subsequently gone on to win a good race, beat Quest for More at Doncaster, and he's proved himself to be a decent stayer this year.
He has, and Quest for More either side of that has really franked his form along the way, because he won the Lonsdale Cup at York. He also then went out to France to win the Cadran over a long trip, and on those 2 occasions he was ridden in direct contrast. Interesting to see if Quest for More lines up how he's ridden this time around, but he's been really good himself during the course of this season. But Order of St George is the real standout performer in this category, I think, when you consider what he did in the Gold Cup. But as I say, it's more important in many ways what he did in the Arc, showing his quality over a shorter distance. He's just all about class as well as stamina, this horse. He's got that unique blend that not too many would have. I doubt you'd find too many Gold Cup winners that would, in recent times, that would have gone on and hit the frame in an Arc.
Definitely. He's a high-class horse. He's the one they've all got to beat. I think it's fair to say in the long-distance cup. But one man who is hoping he can beat Order of St George is David Simcock, who trains the horse we just mentioned there, Sheikh Zayed Road.
You know, he started the year winning Group 3 over mile 6 in Dubai, and he won it very, very easily. And then it was always the plan to go 2 miles and go for these cup races. And no, Ascot, you went in a bit slightly not knowing. I don't think you know any horse is going to stay 2.5 miles. But he got the 2.5 miles at Ascot well, so it held no fears after that.
What form is he in ahead of Ascot?
Yeah, he's great. He's shaky. He's not a particularly good workhorse, or he just shows his well-being. He's expressive in the morning, and he comes out, and if he's happy and sound, that's a good enough sign.
How would you assess the strength of that division this season? We've seen the likes you've mentioned, Quest for More. You've beaten. Big Orange has done very well going down under. Where would you put Sheikh Zayed Road in that sort of category?
Now listen, he's in the mix. He's generally a 1-1-3. Order of St George's head and shoulders above him, and Big Orange is very good because he's probably got that little bit more speed than Quest for More and Sheikh Zayed Road. But with Mizu out, just looks very, very open, and we'd probably go in there with as good a chance as anybody.
So from the stayers, we turn our attentions to the speedsters and the sprinters who will take centre stage at Ascot on Saturday. And one of the horses that we have already touched upon is Quiet Reflection. And for her trainer, owner and jockey, Dougie Costello, a first Group 1 win for him, and the on-tour winner, Syndicate, Quiet Reflection has just had the dream season in many ways, and it would sort of complete the dream if she's able to win at Ascot on Saturday.
Just to highlight her in the yellow and white just there. You can see very murky conditions that she comes through to winning at Ascot. There she is highlighted, and she travels really well through this race at Haydock. I think it's at Ascot there. At Haydock. She was a winner, of course, at Ascot earlier on the season, so she's proven on this track as well. She's proven herself under different sort of conditions as well. But
is she best when it's like this, when there's, as you can see, sort of murky, muddy conditions?
Well, I think she handles these conditions much better than the vast majority of horses will, and I suppose with that in mind, it will be different come Ascot this weekend. It won't be anywhere near as testing as this, but she's not reliant on those conditions. The horse that she beats into second there, the Tin Man, who missed the break a little bit, he runs very well to finish in second, and of course he ran really well when he was emerging force in the sprint division in this race last year. He finished fourth behind Muhara and Twilight Sun. Twilight Sun, he could be in the field again as well. He's got perhaps a little bit to prove right now, given his disappointment in the July Cup, and maybe his stablemate Lamato is the one they've all got to beat. I certainly think he's the horse that would be towards the top of the shortlist.
Are we dealing, just very quickly, with a division where 4, 5, 6 horses are in with a chance?
I suppose we are, but I think the two real standout performers, the ones that just stand a slight class apart, are Mecca's Angel and Lamato, the 1-2 from the Nunthorpe at York. Mecca's Angel, another filly like Quiet Reflection. She's yet to try 6 furlongs, and she's got a lot of speed, and her style of racing, I think, maybe not as suitable for Ascot as over 6 furlongs as well as maybe other tracks, and York is somewhere that really sees her to maximum effect. Lamato, on the other hand, who handled the track at York perfectly well in the drop back to 5 furlongs, is probably his absolute best over 6, and this track will suit him well. He's since a Group 1 winner over 7 furlongs. I think that he is the one that they've all got to beat.
Yeah, he was very impressive last time out. Lamato hoping to give trainer Henry Candy another Group 1. But the horse we focused on, Quiet Reflection, is trained by Carl Burke, and he will be hoping for another big race success at Ascot. He's already tasted success with this filly at the Royal Meeting this year. Can he round off what's been a dream season for Quiet Reflection? We've sent the cameras down to find out how Carl is feeling ahead of the big day.
The pressure on the day is that you get a clear run and she goes and performs on the day. I mean, you can think you've got them there on top form going into a race and they don't, for whatever reason, perform on that day, but she hasn't let us down yet. If we get there and I'm 99% happy, I think she'll take a lot of beating.
Because she is the benchmark. She's the one that the rest of them have got to beat.
I think so. I think so. You know, it's she takes that Haydock form into that race, then she's going to be hard to beat, I think. To get hold of one that, fingers crossed, is going to be crowned champion of a great category at the end of the season, then that's a fantastic achievement, I think. It's going to be a great race. I hope they all turn up. Shalar, great return to the track a couple of weeks ago. So listen, it's not an easy race, and it's a true championship race. And you've got Tin Man, who I'd give a great shout to, especially if the ground is a bit quicker than Haydock. And you've got Henry Candy's Twilight Sun, is it? Yeah. They're good horses. And a dark horse is Dean Ivory's horse, the Breezy Breeze. That's a classy animal. And
go through the handicaps.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't dismiss that either, to run a big race.
On that track.
Exactly.
Time now to turn our attentions to the fillies and mares category, and Aidan O'Brien has had a fantastic year with his fillies, and he could very well be the man to follow in this race.
Yeah, let's have a look at Seventh Heaven, who's perhaps his most likely contender for this race. This is her in action at York, and she sticks on strongly to land the spoils here. She gets the better of Found, who of course has gone on to win the Arc since then. Found was considered to perhaps need the run on this occasion. Aidan O'Brien forewarned race fans of that before the race, and that's sort of how it panned out in many ways, but that's not to take anything away from Seventh Heaven, who kept on really pluckily to take the Darley Yorkshire Oaks, and this was an impressive display from a horse who had also won in Group 1 company in the Irish Oaks.
A lot of people will look at this and go, Seventh Heaven's beaten Found. Found's won one of the, if not the most prestigious race in Europe historically, but certainly one of these, the most prestigious races in Europe. They'll look at that piece of form and they go, that is exponentially better than anything on offer, given what Found has done in the Arc. How would you sort of answer that?
Well, to an extent, I would agree. I think, as I said, the fact that Found was perhaps not quite cherry ripe on that occasion, arriving on the back of a slight mid-season break, should be you should bear that in mind when thinking along those lines and not get too carried away. But even if she was a little bit below par, she's still beaten a really strong field in good fashion. I love the way that she powered home. I think that this stiff finish at Ascot will really suit her well. She just seems to be getting better, and I definitely think she's the one to beat. There's plenty of other potential contenders in there. The reigning champion Simple Verse, if she turns up in this race, would definitely be a contender. Speedy Boarding has taken Group 1 prizes in France on her last 2 starts. Again, you can hardly discount her given the form that she's been showing of late, while Queen's Trust, who was 4th in the Ribblesdale here earlier on in the season, has run well in defeat a couple of times since in races such as the Nassau at Goodwood, and on her most recent start as well. So she's been in good form on recent times, but she's got a little bit to find with Seventh Heaven.
Well, it is going to be a fantastic day at the races, I can assure you. And just looking and hearing about these horses that we're going to see on offer, we're so lucky. Can't wait for it. It's been a season of firsts for trainer Hugo Palmer. Of course, at the start of the year, on these previews, we sort of built up to the QIPCO 2000 Guineas right at the start of the year. And it was Hugo who trained his first British Classic winner at the start of the season. He will be looking to end the season with a first ChampionsDay winner to add to his illustrious CV in such a short space of time as well. The horse he's pinning his hopes on this time around in this race is Architecture, and I spoke to him in the run-up to ChampionsDay.
Well, the amazing thing about Architecture is that she, she's raced at 114 or something, but the only race she's ever won was the Nottingham Maiden. But that's kind of been because we've pitched her in, to a very high level. We went to Lingfield because I said to her then owner Chris Humber that it was in time that if she didn't show herself up to stakes class that we didn't have to pay the second stage of the Epsom entry, and obviously she was only beaten ahead by Aidan's filly. That's the only race she's won, and there was a little bit of a part of me that thought we ought to have gone to Prix de Rolia and just tried to make her a group winner. But she's got this entry at Championsday. It's a fabulously valuable race. I think she's improved no end. She's always actually been best with a little bit of a break. I think the German Oaks just came a little bit hot on the heels of a huge run in the Irish Oaks, in the same way that the Ribblesdale came a little bit hot on the heels of Epsom, and it didn't go right for her in the Ribblesdale either. So I'll be hoping for a less wide draw, more and just to be given a bit more of a chance.
Time now to turn our attentions to the QE2 and potentially a first ChampionsDay success for trainer Richard Fye. He's got a good one on his hands in Ribchester, doesn't he?
He has. Well, let's take a look at Ribchester in action at the track. This is back in June at Royal Ascot and the Jersey Stakes, a lower level of competition than we're in on ChampionsDay, of course, but Ribchester has done it in France at the highest level since. Worth bearing in mind on this occasion, Ollie, he's carrying a £5 penalty for a previous win at this level of competition. So His value for extra than the bare margin will show at the line, and he beats a couple of horses into the places that went on to finish in first and second in Group 3 company, Thickery and Forge, on their next starts at Goodwood.
And just to break it down, I know it seems fairly futile, lots of people watching this will know this already, but the point Chris is making, he's effectively carrying a bit more weight than 95% of his rivals, which means that this performance should be upgraded, and if you did upgrade it, you would have been rewarded, because as you say, he's gone on to Group 1 level and won.
Yeah, he has, and when he won in France recently in the Jacques Le Marois, he beat a horse called Vademos, who has gone on to win at the highest level since himself. So he's really progressed this year. That piece of form isn't his best piece of form, but it was a piece of form at the track. He's got better since. That form looks solid. It's been franked. He really is the one to, I think, concentrate on going into the QE2.
I saw Richard Fahey recently at the sales in Newmarket, and there was a real degree of confidence regarding Ribchester's chances at Ascot on Saturday, and it's quite rare from Richard to be as bullish pre-race as he has been about this horse, so we wish him the best of luck. Hoping that Ribchester doesn't win is one man who trains in Newmarket but is soon to move to Lambourne. That man is Ed Walker, and the reason he's hoping that Ribchester doesn't win is because he is the trainer of Stormy Antarctic.
He's in great form. He's had a frustrating year. He came back from the Guineas with an injury, took a bit of time to come back, then was second in the Jean Prat. Things didn't go his way at Deauville in the Jacques Le Marois, and unfortunately our target, we were going for the Group 1 in Italy, just to go as a sort of prep race into the QE2 and to hopefully go and win his first Group 1, having been runner-up twice. And then he got that dreaded respiratory infection that's been wandering away around Newmarket and the rest of Europe. So he missed a couple of weeks, and so we had to go straight to the QE2. But we're back on track now, and he seems in good form. Hopefully when he wins his Group 1, and God willing it'll be at Ascot, it'll be a huge day, and deservedly so. He's been second in 2 Group 1s, and he proved it was no fluke at 2, and he's good enough. He deserves a big one. He's got a great temperament. He's got a huge amount of natural ability. And he's proved on the track that he's a very talented horse. He's consistent. His disappointing runs are few and far between, but he's always had very genuine excuses. Not that we're in the business of looking for excuses, but I do believe that he is up to that grade, and all his runs this year have suggested that.
So time now to take a look at the big race of the afternoon, the QIPCO British Champions Stakes, and what a race this promises to be. Let's remind ourselves of what happened 12 months ago when Fascinating Rock was victorious. Chris, talk us through it.
Yeah, that's Fascinating Rock. That is the second horse home and the future ARC winner of this year. Found. They come from towards the back of the field, found from right at the back of the field. Can't quite pick up Fascinating Rock. Really good race last year, and these 2 horses could potentially line up once again. Pretty sure that Fascinating Rock will. Found it has to be up in the air at this stage of us looking ahead to the race. It will be a decision that they leave till the very last moment, I think, Ballydoyle, as to what they do send to the race. But whatever they do send is going to be a big player.
Other horses to mention, the likes of Jack Hobbs, we see the closing stages. You'll see Fascinating Rock and Found lock horns late on. It really was an enthralling contest, and that was the furlong marker there, and there are, you can count them, 7 horses that were within about 2 or 3 lengths of each other. Really good race last year, perhaps going to be even better this time around. Who else do you think are players in the Champions Stakes? Whatever Ballydoyle decide to throw into the ring here, it could be Highland Reel, who ran so well in the Arc himself. It could be any number of their leading contenders. Minding could be one that they threw into the mix, but I think the horse that everyone has to beat in this is likely to be Almanzor for France. Who bypassed the Arc to save himself specifically for this race, and that's a pretty notable sort of sign of strength, I think, in many ways from his connection. I think they knew that this probably was the ideal race for him. His form to this point has been over 10 furlongs. Did they really want to have a go over a longer trip for the first time in the Arc? I think they've done the right thing coming here. The Irish Champion Stakes that he won last time out was a remarkably strong affair. You look at the horses that he had in behind him. He beat Found, he beat Minding, he beat New Bay. All of them Group 1 winners. The horses in 5th and 7th spot as well, Highland Reel and My Dream Boat, they were previous Group 1 winners as well. It couldn't be much stronger form. He's progressing all the time, a French Derby winner as well.
I think he's an outstanding horse.
The return of Jack Hobbs as well, something to mention?
Yeah, it was a shame. We obviously last saw him being pulled up, and he's got a little bit of a question against him. I think he fractured a pelvis on that occasion. So he's had his physical ailments and issues during the course of this season, but it would be great to see him back to form. He ran so well in that race that we've just shown from last year.
I promise you, every year we say this and we sort of preview this meeting and we go, what a race this is, what a day it's going to be. But year on year, this day just keeps on providing the very best of this sport. And once again, we're just treated as a day on the whole to what should be just a brilliant, brilliant day.
It should be. And this race, this horse, Almanzor, I haven't seen him yet in this country. Really looking forward to see him because he looks like a star.
Who do you think will win, Almanzor?
Almanzor to win it, yeah.
Strongest fancy of the day?
Good question. I will go with Ribchester in the QE2.
Thought I stumped him there. Annoying. Chris, many thanks for a great season. Send it up. Right, Champions Day coming your way at Ascot on Saturday. I hope that you agree with us. It is going to be breathtaking. We'll hopefully see you there. Thanks for watching.